I got the microphone plugged into my backpack, so I hope that doesn't slide. Oh, and there's already people here. Hey, everyone. Hi. Hi, Fabiana. Hi, Lorna. Hi, Tim, Esther, Adrian, Valen, Dennis. Hola, ¿qué tal? Buenas tardes. It's Heidi. How is everyone? How is everyone doing? Can you guys hear me okay? I have the microphone plugged in a different place that I normally carry it, so I'm just a bit unsure of its position there. Hi, Jeannie. You guys are so lucky. It was incredibly cloudy and gray and horrible up until pretty much 20 minutes before I left the house. So I'm so glad. Awesome. Good. It's just, yeah, because I've never had it plugged in there. I was like, oh my God, is that going to work? But yeah, that's good. Great. Well, we have nearly 4 minutes still to go. So we're just getting started. Hi, Teresa. Hi, Reina Isabel. How are you all doing today? How is the weather like where you are, guys? Here in Santander, we have lovely 20 degrees. That's how I like it. Perfect, 20. Hi, Noreen. Welcome, welcome. 20 degrees. Hi, John. Very English here. I know what that means. No, I've seen the weather forecast. I think the storm that we had here the day I came back from Seville has made its way across the channel. So yeah, you probably have it now. It's a big shock for sure, being back from 30 something degrees down to 20. I did not expect that. Hello, Teresa. How are you? How are you guys? And what is everyone joining me from today? I know some people, but not everybody. So I would love to know how you guys are. My parents are good. My dad is knackered because he's working a lot. He works on a golf club, and of course it's summer, so everyone is coming out to play golf. And my mom just came back from holiday, and she hates it because she wants to be back out, which makes sense. Hi, Julie. We are joining you from Canada. Oh, amazing. And we are a group in a retirement home. Teresa, that's awesome. Hi, everybody then in your retirement home. I hope that you really love Santander. I really hope I can do it justice for you. Hi, Roger from Ottawa. Hi, Donna. Hi, Sheen. Oh, hi, Sheen. It must be either really early for you or really late, Sheen. So thank you so much for joining. And well, I guess as well in Canada, I think, well, depending what part of Canada you are, but you must be at least 5 hours behind us. So, oh my God, thank you so much, guys. Hi, Zena. Hi, Cara. Hi, Laura. Thank you. Thanks for joining. And I mean, the clouds are moving, but I'm still getting mostly sun. So this is going to be good, guys. This is going to be good. I'm not letting it cloud over as we're walking. I will command the clouds to walk away from the bay. No, I suspect, unfortunately, over the next couple of days and weeks that I'm doing tours, there will be a couple or two where the clouds and the rain may take over, but this is the north of Spain at the end of the day. Hi, Paul Cedric. Hi, Elisa. How are you guys? Oh, I'm so happy that you guys are joining me today. It's been quite a crazy day for me today because my sister is doing exams. So I was helping her revise all of Spanish history yesterday, which was quite convenient because I was preparing my Hego tour of the brief history of Spain. So it was like we were doing a tag team for this. Hi, MB. Okay, and we have literally just less than a minute to go. So yeah, just give us 1 more minute and we'll get going. Hola, buenas tardes, ¿qué tal? Yeah, I've now been speaking pretty much non-stop Spanish for a week and a bit. So I have to do the conscious switch to go from one language to another. Hi, Poppy. Oh, muchas gracias, Envy. Muchas gracias. Igualmente. Hi. But yeah, and I've just seen something in the bay that I wasn't expecting to see, guys. So if you did this tour with me earlier on last month, you're actually going to see a few boats that weren't here previously, which is quite exciting. So, well, I mean, at least it's exciting for me. I don't know. These things amuse me. So hopefully it will amuse you too. Okay. I think I can hear the town hall clock going, which probably means it's my time. There we go. Excellent. So it is 5 p.m. in Spain, not in the UK. And we are in Santander. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Dr. Lillian Cespedes Gonzalez. I have a very long Spanish name, so please just call me Lily. Only my mom calls me Lillian when she's angry with me, so no worries. And it is doctor because I do have a PhD in history from the University of Winchester in the south of England, where I normally tour, but this month I'm spending it back home in my hometown because it is my 31st birthday at the end of this month and my dad's 50th. So I thought I had to come back for that. Hi Joe, hi Sam, welcome and thanks for joining me. So that's the reason why I'm touring in Santander today and why I want to show you my hometown. Thank you so much, Teresa, you're so kind. So what we're gonna be seeing today is literally just a walk through the bay. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you. You're so kind. Hi, Yvonne. Santander Bay is actually considered one of the most beautiful bays in the world. And this is not just me saying it because I'm a local and I was brought up here. It's actually part of an actual club and like internationally acclaimed sort of organization of the most beautiful bays in the world that was actually organized in the late 80s and early 90s to give these areas a bit more of recognition. And part of this other club are also places such as San Francisco. So, you know, we have the absolute honor of being in a list with big players. So I hope you love Santander Bay. We're also going to be seeing a couple of other places along the bay. We are currently in the Jardines de Pereda. This is a garden that has been here since I was a child. So I have very fond memories of this place, although it looks very different from when I was little. And we're going to also be seeing the Maritime walk alongside the area of Puerto Chico, which is the small, it literally translates as small port. So it's our little marina. So I'm just going to flip the camera now and let you enjoy these beautiful views. So here we go. Hi, Penny. Hi, Laura. And hi, Sarah. Thank you so much for joining me. And thank you so much for all the cake, Joe. Right. Well, welcome to the sites I was brought up with. I mean, please, someone tell me, how could this not be part of the most beautiful bays in the world? I'm going to move away from where the people are casting to fish. Yes, I know, it is absolutely stunning. So Santander Bay has the privilege to feed its waters from the Cantabrian Sea, which is part of the Atlantic Sea on the other side of the English Channel. This is a very, very brave sea. We have really hardcore storms in here. So although it probably looks very bucolic in here right now, I can guarantee you this is not its normal state. This bay is well known for causing several, dramas at sea and traumas. So we are lucky that today is looking nice. And on the other side of the bay, we have some of the most famous Cantabrian mountains, because what Cantabria is well known for, it's its nature, its beauty, and the mountains. Now, right in front of us, this one here that you have there, that is Peñacabarga. That is actually where we have our TV and radio station. And over there, farther back, you can see some of the mountains that are closer to the area where I used to go to the village, which is Diérganes, and what we call the Pasiegos valleys, El Valle del Paz. Now, Pasiegos are a particular type of people here in Cantabria. They're very rural, and they don't have the highest hills, but the most abundant ones. So all of that beautiful sight is what you can see here from the bay. Now, I'm sure you're going to see here, there's a few ships already out there, and that's because they're at the far end of the bay. Even if I were to zoom, it's actually quite far away, so you probably wouldn't get to see it very well. But all the way there, we have Astillero, which is a little town outside of Santander, which is called Astillero, which actually means the shipyard. And you can guess what they do in there. So all of this area is currently part of the Bay of Santander. And before we get moving, I would like to show you this building because it's become quite famous. Hi Tina, hi Amy. This is called El Centro Botin. And I don't know if you are familiar with the architect. His name is Renzo Piano. He actually designed as well one of the art museums in Oslo, which has a very similar design. Now it's very big, so I'm walking backwards trying to get you a better view of this place. This was only finished a few years before the pandemic. It started being constructed around 2010, 2012, but these things always take some time. On the right, it was just that was, I think, the boat that connects one side of the bay to the other one, Teresa. And actually, hopefully, we'll see them a bit better when we move along the bay. So this is now a cultural center owned by the Botin family. Now, if any of you have ever heard the name of Santander, not in relation to the city, it's probably been because of the bank. Well, the bank is owned by the most wealthiest family here in Santander. They've been bankers their whole life, and they named the bank after the city. And they decided to create this cultural center to give Santander a new museum space, a new art gallery, and one of the most expensive and coveted terraces in town, because this area here, it's closed now because it's time for siesta here in Spain, so there is not particularly anybody about other than me. But this area here that we're walking towards has a very, very lovely terrace, and it has some cover that is provided by the actual building. And you will think, well, is that necessary? Yes, 100%. It actually rains a lot here in Santander. It actually rains more than where I live in the UK, in Southampton, and it's because, as you've seen, we have the mountains very, very close to us and the sea. So what happens here is that because of evaporation, the clouds form, they get trapped in the mountains, and it starts raining. So actually, at least when I was younger, of course, the climate has changed a little bit, but in Santander, it used to rain 200 days a year, and which is a lot of days a year. So there you go. But as you can see, this is the museum shop. It's all shut right now for lunchtime. And what I'm going to take you is to a special elevator that takes us to the viewpoint of the bay. Now, I think there is actually a bit of a queue, so I may do it on foot. But these are the Pereda Gardens. I will be telling you more about the Pereda Gardens in one of the other tours that I'm doing. They are named after José María de Pereda, who was a very important author here in Cantabria. Right. I think I'm just gonna go on foot, and actually that way I can show you the bay view from different stages. It rains like in England. Do you think it's because of the proximity? It definitely is. I mean, the climate here in the north of Spain, in Cantabria, is very, very similar to the south of England. And because we have higher mountains, we have more rain retention than in a lot of places in the UK, because in the UK we have small hills, but not these very steep mountains. And I mean really steep. Sorry guys, I'm just walking up, so bear with me, because all the way up in Picos de Europa, which are literally, it translates as the peaks of Europe, we go all the way up to 2,000 meters above sea level. Right, so as you can see, this is the edge of the building. It's all made of glass. Hi, Ro. That's the entrance to one of the galleries. And this is the first viewpoint of the bay. So I'll take you out here first, and then we'll go to the top so I can give you the proper 360. This makes me really scared because I have to go over the water. And for those of you who don't know me, I'm really terrified of heights. So, oh my God, the things I do for you guys. Okay, here you go. I'm gonna literally be looking away while we do this, because otherwise the vertigo will get the best of me. Look at these views. Isn't that just amazing? Absolutely stunning. And that is actually just an ordinary boat. They are doing some health checks here in the bay all the time. So all of the mariners and the coastal guards are always making sure that the water is healthy, and that we have the right levels of sand, because we do have a serious problem with sand draining in some other parts of the bay that I'll show you in just a moment. I'm glad that you like it, Alisa. Right, and now we're gonna go to the top view. So from there I can see not just the bay, but sort of the landscape of the city of Santander. In fact, I can show you pretty much where my house is. So it's a good sort of 360 view. What's the name of those mountains again? So that's the one right in front of us. That one that I'm pointing at right now, that's Peña Cabarga. Peña literally means like a mount, like an isolated mountain. And the rest of the mountains belong to Picos de Europa, the peaks of Europe. We actually have in there a well-known skiing facility. So if you're ever wondering where to come to Spain and you don't want to go to like the most prominent ones, come here to Cantabria, to Alto Campo, and we have snow there all the way from, well, October to early May normally, unless it's a very, very sort of dry and sunny year. Okay, hi Linda, how are you? Whew, okay, here we go. Now when we go on the elevator down, you will see something quite funny, but until then, here we go. We are on the view. Not easy place, no. The unfortunate case is that from the UK at least, you can only fly to Santander from Stansted in London, well, outside of London actually, and they have now open flights to Edinburgh and to Manchester, but they're only seasonal. To the rest of places in Europe, it very much depends. We do have strong connections with France and Germany most of the year round. To the United States, it's quite hard. You normally have to fly to Madrid and then from Madrid to Santander. Well, this is the city center of Santander. As you can see down here, this is just the gardens where we were. And I'm just trying to find my house from here. Actually, it's very easy. If you all see that pinnacle there, I'm gonna zoom a little bit. You see that spire that pierces there in the horizon? That is the church of the Jesuits, and that's literally in the corner of my street. So my house is actually one of those roofs just behind it. And the Jesuits church belongs to the school where I used to go when I was younger. So that's my neighborhood. And then if we carry on moving a little bit this way, that building that is completely covered in this thing, that is the old Santander Bank, the Central Santander Bank, which is being repurposed to be yet another art museum. And then over there, just in front of that little building entering the sea, there is a crossing, and if you pass that crossing over there, you can go to my grandparents' house, which is the house where I was actually born. So as you can see, this is very much my neighborhood. Now I'm gonna zoom out to give you the 360 view of this lovely bay. Sarah, how many people live in here? Well, Santander currently has a population of about 200,000, 250 if you count the metropolitan area. We actually have a guided tour just next to us, so I'm trying not to get in their way. So yes, we're not terribly big. We've grown a lot recently, mostly because of the metropolitan area has increased, because like in many parts in the north of Spain and even in the central plains of Spain, the countryside starts becoming depopulated and the rural exodus begins. So more and more people sort of move to the outskirts of Santander, which is in a way great for the city, but in another way a bit sad for the rest of the countryside. Right, let me take you to the other viewpoint here. And you're actually gonna see how quickly the weather changes in here, because those clouds that seem really far away to begin with have almost caught up with us. So this is the other end of the bay. That's actually one of the sailing boats from the sailing school that we're gonna pass by later on. Those are the mountains that I was talking about earlier. And then here we go. That piece of sort of sand that appears in the horizon is a beach that comes and goes depending on the actual tide. That is La Playa del Puntal, El Puntal beach, and it's temporary. So if the tide is really low, you can see it. If it's not, it gets completely covered by water. And there is a special boat that goes there depending as to whether the tide is supposed to be high or low. Oh my God, yes, Alisa, we have like thunderstorms are super common here, particularly in July and in August, because the problem that we have is due to the high humidity. The temperature here can go quite high up, like in the rest of Spain, but then of course with all of those mountains there, the electricity gets condensed into clouds, and then it just goes down like nothing very quickly. So yes, you could literally be in the beach at 12 p.m. and the locals know it. Suddenly the wind changes and you know that means the storm is coming, and you need to go because it gets fierce. And Santander Bay, Well, it is actually in some ways, Paul Cedric. We are very famous for things like sailing competitions and boating competitions. We actually hold the Cotisarc competition here quite often. I think they're actually due to come, if not this year, next year. And they come often as well because of the cruise ships. Now, unfortunately, this building blocks where the cruise ships normally stop, but there is a very strong connection between the south of England and the north of Spain because of those cruise ships that come from Portsmouth and Plymouth. Right. Well, I know that the view here is magnificent, so I'm going to give you one last chance to take your postcards, and then we need to move on because, well, we have still a long way to cover. If you see that building there, sort of at the end of that walk, that's where we're going to get today, so don't worry, you're still going to be seeing the views, but from a different perspective altogether. Okay, let's walk down because I don't think we're going to be able to get in the elevator with these people here. So I'm just gonna make my way down the stairs, guys. Bear with me as oh, there we go. Right. Okay, well, we're getting a few more steps in than what I had intended. Never mind me. Join me in my next fitness class as I go up and down the stairs in the Centro Botin. Well, there you go. At least I'm doing the exercise. You guys can have your cup of tea or biscuits at home, and I'll spare you the walk in that regards. But yes, you can see this elevator goes up and down, and it takes you to the viewpoint and down. I do apologize because the staircases do go in a bit of a spiral, so hopefully I'm not making you too dizzy. Yes, you're doing exercise. Can foreigners buy land there? Oh God, yes, Joe. A lot of people do, because land here is not as expensive as in so many other parts of Spain. Not everyone wants to come to the rainy side of Spain. You know, everyone comes to Spain for the sunshine and the beach. Now in Cantabria, in Santander, we have sunshine and beach as well. In fact, our beaches are absolutely lovely. But because it rains more, people just don't want to deal with that hassle. And because we have so many hills and mountains, admittedly, the terrain is not, nice and flat to build things around. So because of that, if you're interested in buying property in Cantabria, you can find yourself a good deal, particularly if you go to the countryside. Because like I said, a lot of the places are being abandoned by the locals as there is no revenue in that sense. You're jealous of where I am? Well, yes, the steps have a price and I'm happy to pay it. For us Celtic types, well, 100%. I mean, for those of you who were with me the last couple of tours when I was in Seville and in Merida, that's definitely not the type of weather that I am used to. This is literally, to me, this temperature right now, 20 degrees is perfect, particularly with this humidity level. Because in case you guys didn't know, we are literally at 98% humidity, which means literally at 25 degrees already, it feels sticky and horrible, even though it's not a lot, but it feels that way. So we're built in a different way, that's for sure. And this is normally a lovely sight to see, but unfortunately not today. So I'm just gonna stop here really briefly. This is La Grúa de Piedra. It's literally called the Crane of Stone. This was part of the port of Santander, literally since the 18th century. Then it got modernized, etc., to what you see today. So thanks to this crane, the port of Santander was able to flourish and develop and be really important in the north of Spain until Bilbao grew and it outshined us. But unfortunately, as you can see, there is a lot of this construction stuff here. Why is that? Well, like in most port towns, a lot of the terrain that we have here, and I have the same problem when I did the tour in Portsmouth and sometimes when I do it in Southampton, a lot of this area here is terrain that we have reclaimed from the sea. In fact, I can probably show you how they're working on the cement because all of this got rotten, you see? So it's unsafe for people to actually walk on this end. And unfortunately, that means that if they can't do the repairs properly, this historic crane is gonna, have to be demolished, and so will be part of the walk. But this is the problem that we have when we build right next to the water. It is there for a reason, and it doesn't, follow the command of humans. So unfortunately, when you live nearby the sea, like we do here, you are not too surprised these things happen. Yes, Sevilla is 100% beautiful and lovely, but it is indeed too hot. I loved it for a week. That's all I needed. And then there you go. Now this building here in front of us is called El Palacete del Embarcadero. It literally means it's literally the port area. This used to be the original office for the port authorities here in Santander. Now it's another small exhibition space, and they have part of the naval archives for the city. And well, it's only from the 19th century, as you can see, it's not that very old. But that is the shield for Santander. Can you see that it has a tower and two heads and then a boat? Well, the two heads are in reference to the two martyr saints that supposedly helped found the city of Santander. They were two Roman citizens, San Emeterio and San Celedonio. I actually live nearby San Celedonio Street. And because they were Christians, the Roman cut their heads, put them on a boat, and turns out the boat ended up here in Santander, and there was, a big rejoice because they, essentially became martyrs and helped the city grow. So that's the reason why our shield, our coat of arms, has two random heads floating there, which a lot of people think, why are there two heads in there? Well, that's the reason why, because of martyrs and miracles. And I'm sure you can see we have here a ship, a traditional ship, which I didn't know was here. So it's a big surprise. We're literally gonna walk past it in just a moment. But I thought I will show you this building first. This is currently the area where the little ship that connects the two sides of the bay departs from. Normally, if the ship is here, you can see it and it's docked right in front of us, but it's not here just yet. I can actually see it coming from the other side of the bay, so we will probably see it approaching. I don't know if you can see that little sort of speck in the horizon moving towards us. That is the boat that goes to that area of Somo, Pedreña, and El Puntal beach, the beach that comes and goes. And these buildings that we have in front of us, they are some of the most expensive properties in the city center of Santander. On the other side of the Maritime Walk where we are is Paseo Pereda, also in name of Pereda, like the gardens, the Cantabrian author. Well, like in most port towns, not just in Spain, but in most places, this would have been the front line looking at the bay, which meant that was pricey property because with those views, who wouldn't want them, right? So they are still some of the most expensive properties in town. A lot of them go as far back as the 18th century, but the vast majority of them had to be redone and sometimes demolished and rebuilt. So a lot of them are not as old as they could have been. But I mean, look at this, guys. This is what those people wake up every morning. Like, I envy them. Everyone in town envies them, but not everyone in town has the cash to afford that. And this, I don't know what ship this is, but it's absolutely beautiful. Like I said, it wasn't here yesterday. It must have just arrived overnight or first thing in the morning. But because, we're an important port town, sometimes a lot of these old traditional ships come over. Many of them actually come from the United Kingdom, but I think this one is actually Spanish. Yes, this is El Nao Victoria. I've just seen it actually on their signs over there. That's the name of the boat. Now Victoria. And from what I can tell, it's not as old as it looks. This is actually late 19th century. I can tell mostly because of the work that has been done already in the mast. And it seems like they are here for some special event because they are all carrying like costumes and things like that. I think a guy was just carrying like a monkey mask. So perhaps more to come. But there you go. So this is now Victoria. Thank you so much for coming to our tour. We were not counting on you, but we very much appreciate you. Oh, and we're gonna be lucky because the boat that was, so far away, as you can see, they come really quickly. That is the boat that connects the two sides of the bay, this other one, the one that obviously is motorized. And it's gonna park literally just over there. They sometimes, particularly when the weather is nicer, have another one that actually gives you like a boat tour of the bay, and it actually takes you outside of the bay, so you can see the difference between the relatively calm, tranquil waters of the bay and what the Cantabrian Sea is, which is a beast, quite frankly. So we carry on with our walk, and we're gonna be approaching the area of Puerto Chico. It's from Almeria. I thought I detected an Andalusian accent, but I wasn't too sure of that myself, to be honest. But now that is clarified, that makes perfect sense. Thank you, Jimmy. So this is literally Paseo Maritimo. It means the Maritime Walk. And what people come to do to this walk is, well, as you probably guessed, just walking around. It is very popular in the north of Spain, and in Spain in particular, in general, to have a dedicated promenade area. Now, we are in one of the most expensive areas of the city, and this would have been where people of money, and just in general, the locals, would have come to, show off, essentially. They will come with their good dresses, and because you're by the bay, everyone wants to come and walk this way. And you would be able to see, oh, so-and-so have a new fancy dress. Oh, so-and-so have this, have that, etc. So, yes, it is a bit similar to the Rambla in that sense. Sarah, can you fish in this bay? Yes, in fact, I don't know if you saw them at the beginning, Sarah. I think you may have joined just afterwards, but it's quite common in this area that we're walking by to actually see fishermen's rods, because as long as you have a license, it's absolutely fine to fish in this area and perfectly legal. I would not recommend it. Personally, because we did have a serious problem with pollution for many years here in the bay, and the vast majority of the fish that you would get, despite this lovely view, the waters weren't always this clear and this beautiful, so a lot of the fish would actually come with a lot of diseases, etc. So it wasn't terribly safe unless you knew what you were catching and you knew well how to clean it. But you can, and a lot of people still do. Yes, most definitely the social media of the time. That was literally what people came for, and what they did. And in this day and age, I mean, it's just a very nice area to walk by the sea. Obviously, on a rainy day, I would not be walking around here. I can guarantee you that, because the water actually sprays. Like the area where I am right now, it sprays severely. Like you get soaked if you're walking around here. And I wanted to show you this thing where everybody else is. So I'm gonna give them a moment to move. It's because we have a local monument here, and that's why they're all sort of en masse there. Maybe I can take you around the side. If you go to the fish market, the fish normally doesn't come from the bay itself. It comes from literally just outside. And actually, look at these guys. There are some fishermen just as we're speaking of the devil, there they are, catching their fish. But yeah, if you literally go to the outskirts of the bay, which is not far away from here, you will be able to find plenty of fish, all sorts of things here, really. We have a lot of haddock, cod, herrings, lots of herrings. We are quite fond of herrings in the north of Spain, and cod. We also have other fishes like bream. We also get sea bass, that type of stuff. Are there some little restaurants and cafes? Not in here. The restaurants are actually all the way in the other side of the walk, Sarah. Okay, I think I can just... Right. Let's see if I can do this, guys, without being too disturbing. Right. Do you see these kind of like kids in the bronze? Well, people have gotten on top of them again, so maybe I'll have to show you from the back of them. Well, those kids that you saw in the statue, they're called the raqueros. And I thought we were getting a mermaid. If only. No, they're literally just statues of kids. And these kids were called the raqueros because this area that we're approaching now, Puerto Chico, literally right behind these beautiful buildings, we have one of the most traditional neighborhoods in Santander. This would have been the old port, the area where we're walking to. So this area, apart from the front line of buildings, That would have been where all of the fishermen, all of the people working in the fisheries, etc., would work. And these vaqueros were kids of poor families that would come here to the front, and if you paid them a coin, they would do all sorts of like flips and jumps and things like that, and jump into the sea, and for a price. And if they could catch a fish for you, well, they would catch it, and if not, they will just entertain you. So if you are called a raquero in Santander, it means that you are poor, peasant, and lower class, essentially. Now, this guy that I'm showing you here, I don't know if you can see, it's actually a relatively new monument. It is supposed to be 3D with the effect of the iron, but this is José Hierro, and he's one of the most famous poets that have actually come from the north of Spain, and actually from Spain in sort of the last 100 years. Spain has a long tradition of poets since time immemorial, and José Hierro is one of our most famous from Santander. He wrote a lot about the bay, nature, and everything else like that. So, of course, the monument had to be nearby where he used to come to get inspiration from, which is the sea. It is really cool. If sea bass are being caught there, that means it is safe to eat any fish caught. Yes, but the sea bass are not caught in the bay itself, Adrian. It's actually just as you come off the bay. So they have to go a bit farther afield to get that. We have an interesting flow of water into how the Bay of Santander feeds because of its shape. So although there is a very clear distinction of where the bay ends and then the proper sea begins, it's still quite noticeable. Oh, hi everyone that just joined. Thanks for being here with me. Now, this other building that we have in here is the Real Club Maritimo. It literally translates as the Royal Maritime Club. So this would have been when, again, the people with money, because of the area where we are, would come and enjoy themselves. You can still do that if you have a membership. They have a posh bar inside. So that's actually the only bar on this end of the street where you can sit down and have a drink while you look out of the bay. Otherwise, you literally have to go to the other side. It's not very much in use these days because, as you can see, well, it needs repairs. And there has been serious problems with storms in here quite recently because of the weather. So a lot of the buildings around here are being refurbished, etc. And this is Puerto Chico, the little port, and our marina. Now, as you can see, these are not fancy boats. Well, some of them are, but the vast majority of them are just ordinary boats to go out to the bay. There are still a few traditional fishing boats, etc. And this is normally what people from the area would just use to either commute from the other side of the bay or for pleasure. The ones that are still fishing boats, obviously, for working. But it's not like, in Southampton, at least, I don't know if I've shown you yet, but if not, I will later in the summer. We have actually a luxury port. This is not quite like that. If we have really, really cool boats, they normally dock by the area where the traditional boat that we've using, the Nao Victoria, is. But yeah, you can see them. I mean, I'm surprised there are so many out here today, because normally on a day like today, people would be out and about. But, well, I guess it's a Monday, so, people probably still working. Because here in Spain, because of the heat in most of the country, our timetable is split. So we don't do like a, continuous shift in most places. We do sort of from 10 till 12 for one, then we close for a couple of hours, which is normally where people have the famous siesta, and then we open again at around 5-ish, 6-ish, until 8-ish. So I guess, this time of the day, people will still be working or getting to work. Yes, indeed, Jeannie. No, I do like being back here. I mean, Santander has many problems, just like everywhere else. Like, any tour guide or anyone that tells you that a city is perfect, they're unfortunately lying. There's not such a thing as perfection. And a lot of places still have a lot of things to deal with. Santander in particular, it's changed a lot since I left Spain for the UK, admittedly. So it's not exactly the town that I knew or how I knew it. Some of it for good, some of it not so much. But the problem that we have here in Santander and in Cantabria in general is that we are very much isolated from the rest of the country. People forget that Cantabria and Santander exist unless it rains. It always rains here. Nothing else happens here. And it's quite depressing, considering that we used to be the most important port that the Crown of Castile and the north of Spain had. And, you know, we have amazing heritage in here that you cannot find not just in the rest of Spain, but in the rest of Europe. So that kind of reductionism really gets to the locals. And a lot of the people from the rest of the country say that us people from Santander in particular, and Cantabria in general, are muy borde, B-O-R-D-E. Now, for those of you who don't know Spanish, borde, the borde of something is the edge, and that normally means that you're a bit harsh and rough around the edges. And I mean, sure, maybe we are a little bit abrupt. I'm not gonna deny it. But, you know, we have sort of been given a reputation of harshness that I'm not terribly sure is necessary, or not any worse than anywhere else in Spain in that regards. But, well, there you go. So because of that, Santander doesn't always have the best self-image of itself, and it normally pays a price for that. We could do a lot more with what I'm showing you guys. I mean, I'm sure that you can see there is, just on the bay alone, there is a lot of resources and beauty that can be explored. We have a lot of, you know, wildlife in here that needs to be preserved, that needs to be enjoyed and taken care of, but we're not very good at putting ourselves out there. Sorry, I'm just reading the chat. I absolutely love the name Santander. Well, it's interesting because we don't really know where the name Santander comes from. We thought, well, there is a local legend that comes from another saint, Saint Andrew, which in Spanish would be Sant Andrés. And I guess if you say Sant Andrés quick enough, it kind of sounds a bit like Santander. But we actually don't have any clear evidence as to where the actual name comes from. So it is peculiar. There is another Santander in America, in Colombia, I believe. But, well, that's a different story. And this is Calle Castelar. Now, Castelar is another one of the most expensive roads here in Santander. So every single building that you see here is either owned by the government, and it's therefore, you know, an important administration building, like that one there on the left at the end, or they are rental apartments or hotels. In fact, one of the most expensive hotels in the city is just a bit further away from here. And more than the Basques, well, you know, again, the people of the north of Spain in general have quite a bit of a reputation of being harsh and abrupt. The Basques do. People from Cantabria as well, the same from people of Asturias and people from Galicia. So I guess we all sort of, funny enough, it's the green fringe of Spain, and I guess we all kind of end up with the same stereotype, because we are the people with the rain and the mountains. Everyone thinks that we are, you know, rugged and hardy and that sort of stuff, which, I mean, you know, in a way, I guess there is a certain truth to it. So I don't know if you can see the building there with all of the glass, which kind of very much stands out from this line of otherwise sort of buildings of the same size, same material, etc. That is the Vinci Hotel. It is a 4-star hotel, and it is, when I mean expensive, I mean expensive. I was actually looking at hotels recently because I have a friend coming to see me in a couple of weeks, and well, this was going for a ridiculous price, something that I definitely would never be able to afford. And this area is all modern buildings because this is part of the ensanche. That means the widening part of the city. So pretty much from the edge of Puerto Chico all the way here, all of these buildings were made anew between the 18th and the 19th century to let the city grow. There's a brother in America, there is a region called, yes, for sure. Are the public schools there of quality? Well, public schools and private schools here are always a bit of a interesting conversation. So for those of you who don't know, in Spain we have an interesting education system. It's similar to some other countries, but not exactly the same. You have public school, you have private school, and you have kind of like a hybrid between the two of them, which is called concertado. A school where literally there has been an agreement done between the government and a private organization. The vast majority of them are religious organizations, so that the government covers parts of the fees. The private organization reduces their fees, and they allow kids from poorer backgrounds to go into their schools. The school where I spent the vast majority of my education, the Colegio Cosca, that one with the church that I showed you at the beginning of the tour, that was one of these schools. So it depends. Traditionally, this type of schools were supposed to be the best ones, not just of Santander, but most cities in Spain. But the system has changed a lot, and it's actually a bit touch and go these days. And there's a few good schools in here, but it depends who you ask, and it depends what for. So I wouldn't really be comfortable saying one of them was better than the other, if you see what I mean. Right, just because we're gonna move to a different area, let me just give you one final view of Puerto Chico. And actually, I think it makes a nice postcard here. And yes, Teresa, we do use euros here. Spain entered the Eurozone right after the millennium. I was just like 11 or 12. And I remember one day we used to have pesetas. That was the original coin here in Spain. And one day I had to learn that 60 cents of euros was the same than a peseta. And well, it's not a huge difference in that regards, and we've actually gotten quite very well used to the euro. But it's gotten better over the years, I think. You have gotten a decent education and done well. Oh, thank you so much, MBM. I can't really say that a lot of that was thanks to the schools that I went to, but actually a lot of it was thanks to my parents' very hard work, because the area where I come from, I mean, I've shown you my two neighborhoods from the top of the view of the Centro Botin. The place where we live now is actually one of the poor parts in the city center of town. Which used to be an area that was completely run down, and we are just off one of the main streets where a lot of, serious crimes, like people actually getting stabbed and stuff like that, happen every single weekend. So I was actually brought up with that sort of stuff, which is not necessarily what you want. And the neighborhood of Puerto Chico, like I said, was traditionally fishermen and sailors, that sort of stuff. So not particularly the wealthiest of areas. But I had a vision in mind. I knew what I wanted to do with my life, and I actually worked really hard to get that. Not with its hiccups and its complications, but hey, here we are. So these are part of the university buildings, guys. This is actually the School for Maritime Education and for Nautical Engineering. We have a very good reputation here for engineers that go on boats. It's one thing that we know how to do well. So that's one thing that I can say hands up that Cantabrian, Santander particularly, has succeeded at. And there is another one that we have here in Santander that is very good at, which is for our civil engineering. It's actually not called civil engineering in Spanish, but we have really good civil engineers that come from our University of Cantabria, and in fact people from other parts of the country, including the capital, such as Madrid, do come here to study civil engineering with us. So one thing we know how to do is building things, or at least building boats. So I guess there has to be a good thing for everything. Right, before we go into here, which is an area that they developed for one of the sailing racing areas, I would like to show you this other building. I always say that it looks a bit like a hippo upside down. And honestly, it is one of those buildings here in the city that it's kind of like Marmite. Either you love it or you hate it. If you know what I mean. It was supposed to be really beautiful, but well, I don't know, I have mixed feelings about it. But it is Palacio de Festivales. Now, Palacio Festivales is the festival hall, and it is actually where one of the oldest music festivals in Spain is held every single year. It is, yes, Sarah, that's the polite way of saying it is ugly, but that's okay, because I agree with you, it's definitely different. But yeah, the FIS, the International Festival of Music here in Santander, is one of the oldest festivals of music in Spain. So every single summer, particularly between the end of July to August, we have all sorts of amazing, not just orchestras, actresses, plays, musicians coming here, but in general, quite a lot of people come to Santander because of tourism, to come see these amazing things. And just to give you a few names, we've had, of course, the London Philharmonic as well as the Berlin Philharmoniker playing here. A few Russian ballets when, well, obviously that was before they attacked Ukraine. And we even had a play that was done in Spanish and directed and performed by John Malkovich here just a few years ago. So it is, although, yes, feo fuerte, muy formal. I can't remember what the play was called. I think it was an adaptation of something Shakespeare, but done quite modern. But yeah, we've had people of really high caliber coming here. And I mean, in general, the band in Santander, the municipal band in Santander, is pretty good. And they have usually quite a lot of classical music performed in the festival hall for the locals and for anyone else who wants to pay the ticket, and not for a very expensive price. Because I always say, culture doesn't have to be expensive. We have this idea in our minds that if you go to the theater or something like that, it's going to cost you a lot of money. But that's not true. And you can go see the municipal band play here and do some very good performances of classical music and like soundtracks and whatnot for as little as €5, which I don't think is a lot to ask for. Right, well, this is the Caer de Vela. So this is our official sailing school. It has a really good renown, not just in Spain, but internationally. We've had people here and sailing teams that have done really well in things even including the Olympics. And of course, the Catisarc and all of the sailing races that take place every single year. So all of these boats that you see here are actually for training and for sailing purposes for the people that come to the school. The vast majority of the time are kids and teenagers, but we still have a few adult groups that come here to train. And as you can see, a few of them are out in the bay today. And this is called La Ola, the wave, because it's a wooden structure. Well, actually, some of it is wood, the other bit is fake wood. It's supposed to represent a wave from the ocean, and they built this for the most recent sailing competition that was here in 2015, I believe. And as you can see, the views from it are particularly amazing. Well, some of them were expensive, but some others are quite affordable. It just, it depends what you're looking for. Was it the Good Canary? I'm actually not sure. I think you may be right, MB. But you've got me unawares on that one, so I'm not gonna say yes or no because I don't want to give you guys the wrong information because I genuinely don't know. Does my family have a boat? Oh my God, Joe, no, not a chance. No. My dad, for starters, hates swimming, the beach, and anything like that, so no boat. And my mom and I used to be in the swimming team. My mom was actually regional champion for quite some time, but we don't have a boat. My mom doesn't feel particularly easy at boats. She gets a bit seasick. I'm the only one that sort of can stand a boat easily enough. So no boat in here. I can guarantee you if I had a boat here, I would have already at least taken you guys on a boat tour of the bay, at least. But no, I mean, I don't think I should be trusted with a moving vehicle of any capacity in any case. I don't think I would deal very well with it, to be perfectly honest. I only have one sibling. She's 11 years younger than me, and she's currently doing exams for university access. So due a catch up with her when we finish tour. So that is the building that I was just showing you now. That's the Palacio Festivales and the School of Nautics, or Maritime Engineering School. And to end the tour, I'm actually not gonna go the long way around. I'm gonna go back the stairs to show you one last bit, which is, I'm sure you can see there is a huge ditch in there. That is actually a historic ditch where a lot of our ships were repaired, made, and sailed from, but unfortunately it's now completely obsolete. It was supposed to become a museum, but it never got to that stage, and I think it's worth at least showing so you can appreciate, what's really what made Santander profitable and an important town. And actually, I don't know if you can see there in the horizons, a bit dark on this end, but you can probably see the smoke coming. I'm just gonna zoom in, of the ferry Britannia. That's one of the many ferries that come here to Santander and that stop by. If you were to rent an apartment Here in Santander, it very much depends on the area. So if you're in the city center where I live, but not on the main front line, you could probably rent a 2-bedroom apartment for about 500 euros. And that's actually not bad. That would include elevator and everything. But if you get sort of closer to the wealthier places, you could easily be asked to pay 800 pounds or euros to 1,000 here in this sort of area, or in El Sardinero, which I'm gonna take you guys later on this week, which is one of our most famous bays. That is literally money central, and those apartments cost a lot of money. So, you know, it depends. For me, in the city center, being able to pay 500 pounds for a 2-bedroom apartment in Santander, I consider that not cheap, but reasonable. Right, and that little house that you see over there is one of the most expensive bars in town, because it is right here. It's the only other bar that you can sort of spot on this end of the city. Everything in this area is very much just for walking, not for drinking or eating. And it was supposed to be the museum space for this. This is El Dique de Gamazo, Gamazo's ditch. And this is where they used to do, I'm sure you can see the residues here of water from years ago, where the ship repairs were done and where the ships would come in. And I mean, we're not talking of particularly small ships. Let me zoom out just so you can realize the actual scope of this thing. You know, we were able to actually repair and work with some of the biggest ships that would come here to the city of Santander. They stopped working at the sort of beginning of the 20th century. And it's been, well, it was full of water for a really long time. Then they eventually drained it and realized that this was in really good condition. They thought about demolishing it and building something on top of it. But the city actually got quite upset that they were thinking of doing this, because, you know, this proved that this was, you know, the money making and the life of the city for many years. And it was related to a lot of people's family history. So they decided to leave it here. And that's the reason why they built that over there instead. Will they ever make it into a museum so they can teach you everything about, you know, shipbuilding, etc. in Santander? I don't know. I have my doubts. But there has definitely been several pleas to make this happen. Watch this space. I shall let you know if it ever happens. And that is the end of our tour through Santander Bay, guys. I'm just going to turn the camera around to say goodbye. And I will answer some of your questions. Okay, so let me just catch up. Sarah, just for a vacation, which place is close to where? So you mean like in Santander? I mean, the good thing about Santander is that you can do the whole city from one end to the other one in an hour walking. So everything is sort of close to everything, to be fair. If you want to be right next to the beach, you really need to go to El Sardinero area, because there you literally will be flat beach, and you will be literally there in a matter of seconds. But just from my house, which is just in the center of town, to the closest beach, which is actually just a bit further away in this direction, it's about half an hour walk. So it's not a very hard city to navigate in any way, shape, or form. And we have a fair amount of buses in that sense that connect the city center with the beaches. So if that's what you're after, definitely pretty much anywhere you can get away with it. And yes, I've been having lots of problems with the maps, and I'm sorry. It's even been happening in Southampton. I don't know what's going on, but Hague are looking into it. So hopefully, yes, the map will work on the next one. It sort of comes and goes. So I hope that it is there. Oh, thank you so much, guys. Thank you so much for the tip, Cara. Very appreciated. Yes, I'm literally, well, my sister should have finished as we started the tour, and it takes her about half an hour to walk from where she's having the exams to town, just because she walks very slowly. And she will be meeting with friends. So I'm going to go see her, make sure that she's fine. I'll probably invite her something to eat, probably something for merienda. For those of you who don't know, merienda is a meal that we have in Spain between lunch and dinner. So it kind of corresponds with eating times in the UK, between 5 and 8:30-ish. But instead of having dinner, we just have, well, all of the stuff that, you know, you shouldn't really eat much of, like patisseries and cake and that sort of stuff. So we'll probably go and do some of that. And now, thank you so much. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you so much for your comments and for your love. It's so amazing to have you here. And by the way, thank you so much for helping me reach 500 followers, which happened literally 2 days ago. It honestly lit up my day. It was so great, and it's thanks to you guys that I keep on doing this and that I do all sorts of things. So hopefully here is to many more tours to come. I'm trying the 15 Hey Go Tours challenge again in June, so wish me luck and hope to see you there. And I hope that you guys have a lovely time, and whether it's morning or night, I hope that you have a great day ahead of you. Take care. Mwah. See you later. Adiós. Hasta luego.